Welcome back. Stassa 23 here, back again with some knife therapy. And today I'm going to give you 10 budget cardboard destroyers. And what I mean by that is these all go through cardboard excellent. They're very slicey. They either have thin grinds or thin blade stock with a decently thin grind. All that helps, the geometry, helps going through material, especially thicker cardboard. But let's get started. First up, we have the SENCUT SCEPTER. This is, a WE sub-brand and a CIVIVI sub-brand. It's decently thin. The blade stock thickness isn't super thick. It's comfortable in hand, and this is just a joy to own. I'm going to try to put the prices up here and any other information, but just I've been enjoying this one. I've sharpened it several times. It holds a pretty good edge. It's in that 9CR steel. It's got multiple opening methods, and it rips through that cardboard. What else could you ask for? I think I didn't go for a full mirror on this one, but I do have a wickedly sharp edge. That 9CR takes a screaming edge. So there's the first. Next up is a Kershaw, and this is the Kershaw Atmos. I think this is the Atmos. If I messed up the name, I'll put it up here. This thing is an absolute featherweight. It's got the G10 with the carbon fiber, like laminate insert right here. It's a nice looking knife. One thing I will note though, it had a terrible edge termination, so I cut in a little sharpening notch. I didn't do the best job because it's a budget knife. I didn't want to put too much time in it. It's a Incictus design. It is only 8CR, 13 MOV. It's not going to hold the best edge, but I will tell you, if you want to get better performance, if you're going to be cutting a lot of cardboard up with something like this and you want to get better performance out of this, lay that edge back to about 15 degrees and it'll last a lot longer for you. Deep carry pocket clip, pretty comfortable. Excellent action on this, riding on bearings. It's not assisted or anything. It's a smaller, like medium small knife. Just a really, really nice design from them. That is the Kershaw Atmos. All right, next up is coming from Ontario Knives, the R2D2. This one has pretty thin blade stock, and that coupled with a full flat grind on here. That grind goes all the way up to the top, so it's tapering down all the way down. It's not the thinnest behind the edge, but all the other attributes make this thing go through cardboard like nobody's business, and it takes a nice polish on that D2 edge, and it will not break the bank either. This is a tried and true budget knife. You got to have one of these in the collection. The Ontario Rat Model 2 and D2. Next up, coming from CJRB, it is the Rhea. I like this knife a good bit. Now, this particular one is a little bit more expensive, but you can get it in the 12C27, which is a good budget stainless steel. You have that full flat grind on here. Decently thin blade stock, comes down to a nice thin edge, and the action on these things are absolutely amazing. Come flying out. I've done a few modifications to mine right here, but you don't have to. They still work great. Get a deep carry pocket clip, but it is right hand tip up only, unfortunately. Comfortable. This is a very thin, lightweight, thin in this dimension, thin in this dimension. It's a good, slack carry if you're wearing slacks or a suit. You can't have a list without one of these because they do some of the best slicey blades in the budget realm, and that is CIVIVI. This is the CIVIVI DOGMA. Blade stock thickness isn't as thin as the rest, but mine comes down to around 15 thousandths. Got a nice deep hollow on here. This thing slices like nobody's business. It's comfortable. I think it looks excellent. It's not super expensive. They got that faux jigging on here with the faux bolster. Excellent action. And let's see, I think, you can spotty flick it with that hole. For the ones that do have the hole, you can kind of choke up if you don't have fat sausage fingers. And this one is in D2. So some people love it, some people hate D2. Deep carry pocket clip, left or right hand tip up carry. Sorry, I'm going through these quick. I'm trying to. My wife is ready to leave. All right, next up is coming from KIZER, and it is the KIZER BEGLEITER 2 with that reverse Tanto blade shape. You have decently thin blade stock. It's not the thinnest in the world, but mine comes down to like 14 thousandths or something like that, and it is razor sharp. This is in the stainless Bowler N690, which is very corrosion resistant. And you know, it's not the best steel in the world, but for a budget steel, it's not bad at all. Action is excellent. This is one of the smoothest knives on bearings. Unlike the first BEGLEITERs, just on washers, this thing is fairly comfortable in hand. It's a smaller, you know, in that smaller size range. Love thumb stud deployers, deep carry pocket clip, right tip up only, unfortunately. And the weight on this is good. This is the micarta variant. This is probably the most expensive in this list, I think, or close to it. Next up, we have another CJRB, and it is the CJRB small FELDSPAR. This one's just super comfortable in the hand because it's got contoured G10 scales with inset liners. I love that thumb deployer on bearings. D2 steel, and CJRB does a good job with their heat treats on their budget knives. And the action's good on here. I've used and abused mine. I think I chipped it the other day right there at the tip, but I was doing something stupid, so we won't talk about that. Deep carry pocket clip, left or right hand tip up only. Got that nice little pop of color for that accent. Very nice knife for the price point. It's hard to beat this. Next up, we got another excellent budget knife that's been, you know, on a lot of people's top 5, top 10 list, and that is the Reich. What is the, man, why am I, it just slipped my mind when I said that. I'll put it up here. I think it's the P801 maybe. You got not the thinnest blade stock, but this thing comes down to a nice thin edge, and it's that full flat grind. It's a very thin scale knife, comfortable in hand. Every one I've owned 3 or 4 of them, have excellent action. You can use that thumb stud. You can flip it out with that flipper and that little ramp up there. It's comfortable. Deep carry pocket clip. I could go without this blue on there, but you could remove it if you really wanted to. It's only right hand tip up, unfortunately, and it is a frame lock on bearings. Next up, this one's probably the cheapest of the bunch, and that is the Tangram Knives Santa Fe. I used to own several of these. I still own like 2 of them. This one's ground pretty darn thin. Mine's, I think it's like at 15 thousandths. High flat grind. Blade stock thickness isn't super thick on it. Comfortable in hand. I think this is an Azo design. You get that nice needle-like point for piercing. This one's riding on phosphor bronze washers with that thin Teflon. Great action on pretty much every one of them I've ever owned. You do have a sharpening notch that clears that plunge. Deep carry pocket clip, left or right hand carry. And these things are very cheap. I think 25 bucks. And it's in that JPN Acuto. Now, they do run it a little soft, I've noticed, but it's very easy to touch up. And for the price tag, I don't really mind it. There you go. And last but certainly not least, probably one of my favorite cardboard destroyers as of late, because, you know, I think this is the latest one I've gotten. And that's coming from BAM Designs. This is, I think, it's either the Invictus or the Superus. I'll put it up here. I'm sorry, I'm rushing it. Definitely doesn't have the thinnest blade stock, but it comes down to a nice and thin edge. And I've done a lot of testing on this, and I think what I like about this one the most is how well this D2 performed, and the action on every one of them that I've gotten, outstanding. And I love the way they position that flipper tab back so it doesn't dig into the finger. Excellent action, comfortable in hand, comfortable to use. You can get it in satin or this like blasted stonewash blade. These are in D2. They got some 14C knives coming up here soon that I got in a pre-order. I cannot wait to test those out. If they're half as good as these, I will be a happy camper. So there you go. That is my top 10 cardboard destroyers. I know this isn't, you know, all there's so many more. This is just the top 10 that I've picked out that I've used and abused and used extensively. So I love the way every one of these rips through cardboard, thick or thin cardboard. And if y'all like this type of video, I will do, you know, 10 more later down the road. And I may do 10 more in another price category here soon, depending on whether y'all like this type of video or not. I used to do these all the time, my cardboard destroyers for that week. And like I said, if this video gets enough traction, I'll bring it back. So there you go. If you have any questions, comments, concerns, please leave down below. I hope everybody's having an absolute wonderful day, and I will see y'all on the next one. Peace.